Chapter 21. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I really hope you can get through to the Uchiha elders. Makoto Uchiha sighed, rubbing her small baby bump. So, what are we naming this one? If it's a boy, Sasuke Uchiha it is. Fugaku Uchiha's face softened, a smile spreading across it at the mention of his child. Sasuke. Makoto frowned, a thought striking her. Wasn't the third Hokage's father's name Sarutobi Sasuke, wasn't it? Yeah, so. Fugaku said matter-of-factly. I want my son to become a strong, legendary ninja like Sarutobi Sasuke. What's wrong with that? I'll make them regret ever looking down on us. I'll even let the third Hokage be my grandson, for crying out loud. Okay, Makoto said, giving Fugaku a suspicious glance. She wondered if he was telling the whole story. She couldn't put her finger on it, but naming their boy Sasuke gave her the odd feeling that they were raising a father for Sarutobi. Leonin Uchiha's promotion to elite jonin was still causing quite a stir. People like Might Guy, Kakashi, Kurenai Yuhi, and Asuma Sarutobi were completely dumbfounded. Nobody could believe what they had seen. What should have been a simple jonin promotion assessment had somehow catapulted Leonin to elite jonin status. It was insane. After years of relative quiet, Leonin Uchiha was once again the talk of Konoha. His genius reputation was even starting to eclipse Kakashi's. The only downside, it seemed, was that Leonin Uchiha specialized in taijutsu, which some saw as his only weakness. Far away, deep within a hidden canyon along the Nanga River, Leonin Uchiha stood calmly. Behind him, 5 shadow clones tirelessly practiced the Rasengan and Chidori, though they weren't having much luck. The techniques kept failing, the energy fizzling out. Promoted to elite jonin out of nowhere. Sarutobi really knows how to get under your skin, Leonin muttered to himself, sitting down on a rock. He thinks he's playing 4D chess, but it's a joke. Leonin understood the play perfectly. Sarutobi was trying to provoke the more radical Uchiha, knowing they'd bristle at the thought of a taijutsu-focused elite jonin in their ranks. After all, the Uchiha pride themselves on their Sharingan. Whatever. The taijutsu I did reveal is more than enough to deal with them. But he decided not to overthink it. The taijutsu he had shown wasn't enough to truly alarm Konoha's leadership, allowing him to continue developing his skills in secret. As for the radical Uchiha, he'd teach them a lesson if they dared to make a move. System, time for the daily sign-in at the Nanga River. A few seconds later, Leonin gave the command. Ding! Congratulations, host. Successful sign-in at the Nanga River. Ding! Congratulations, host. You have received, Water Style, Raging Torrent, Water Style, Water Dragon Jutsu, and 0.22% experience points. Ding! Rewards have been placed in the system inventory and are available for the host to view. System, show me, Water Style, Raging Torrent, instantly summon a swirling column of water that rises like a tornado, then crashes down on your opponent like a waterfall, creating a raging river. Water Style, Water Dragon Jutsu, summon a powerful water dragon that blasts forward, slamming the enemy through the air. Once mastered, the host can perform this technique without hand seals. Whitebeard template, unlocked to 45%, plus 0.22%. The host has now unlocked 45.22% of the Whitebeard template. Perfect. Water Style Jutsu. Yes, please. Leonin Uchiha grinned. Sign-ins were the best. Sure, they weren't as lucrative as the special sign-in locations, but being able to do it every day in the same place. Awesome. System, I want to integrate the Hashirama cells. Taking a deep breath, Leonin steeled himself. He had come to this secluded canyon to finally integrate the Hashirama cells he had acquired from signing in at the first Hokage's memorial stone. He'd been silently cultivating chakra for years, but his progress had been slow. The Hashirama cells promised a massive transformation, and that wasn't even the best part. Hashirama cells came with incredible benefits, near-tailed beast levels of chakra, insane regenerative abilities, superhuman strength. Once he unlocked the Gura Gura no Mi's abilities from the Whitebeard template, those cells would help him mitigate the side effects. Whitebeard, in the world of pirates, had damaged his body with the fruit's power, but Leonian's enhanced healing would help him avoid that fate. Chapter 22. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Okay, host, are you ready to fuse with the Hashirama Senju's immortal body? Almost immediately, the system's mechanical voice chimed in again. Fuse, Uchiha Leonian commanded decisively. Warning, host. The first Hokage, Hashirama Senju's, immortal body integration sequence has initiated. Boom. In the blink of an eye, with no warning whatsoever, a surge of incredible energy flooded into Uchiha Leonian's body. Affected by the influx, Uchiha felt his body enter a completely different state, undergoing subtle but earth-shattering transformations. Without even thinking, the natural energy of the entire canyon seemed drawn by an unseen force, converging upon Uchiha Leonian's body. If anyone had been there, they would have witnessed Uchiha Leonian's body in a near mystical state, with his chakra levels skyrocketing at an alarming, visible rate, 1 minute, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, finally, 0.2 hours later, the intense process gradually subsided. Naturally, as the epicenter of this transformation, Uchiha Leonian's body was completely remade, evolving into a true immortal body. Whoa, this feeling is amazing. My physical abilities seem to have leveled up. After what felt like forever, Uchiha Leonian became aware of his body's condition, a spark of surprise in his eyes. He couldn't help but throw a punch into the air. Even before, his physique was already a force to be reckoned with. However, after morphing into an immortal body, his physical prowess had been elevated to a whole new level. What's more, chakra used to be a weak point. Now, for the first time, he was blown away by the sheer volume of his chakra reserves. Ding! Congratulations, host. After fusing with the Hashirama Senju's immortal body, your physical strength has been dramatically enhanced. The system awards you a 5% experience boost. Ding! Congratulations, host. Whitebeard's character template has reached 45.22%. Adding the 5%, your Whitebeard template unlock is now at 50.22%. Ding! Congratulations, host. Upon unlocking the Whitebeard template, one of the 4 emperors, to 50.22%, you have unlocked Whitebeard's Conqueror's Haki. In an instant, a barrage of notifications flooded the system. Uchiha was momentarily stunned, almost unable to process it all. He hadn't anticipated that fusing with the immortal body would also unlock and integrate the Whitebeard template to 50.22%. Talk about hitting the jackpot. System, initiate Whitebeard's Conqueror's Haki integration. Affirmative. The host's Whitebeard's Conqueror's Haki integration sequence has initiated. Buzz. Another strange wave of energy, before Uchiha could even react, surged into his body. Immediately afterward, a wave of terrifying force and pressure emanated from Uchiha Leonian's body, radiating outward in all directions. There was no question about it. This was Uchiha Leonian's new Conqueror's Haki. Boom. Whitebeard's Conqueror's Haki was formidable, especially after Uchiha Leonian had fully absorbed it. Even without going all out, countless weeds and trees throughout the entire canyon were flattened as if hit by a Category 5 hurricane. Finally, after roughly 10 minutes, the terrifying wave of Conqueror's Haki gradually subsided. Unbelievable. After what seemed like an eternity, a look of amazement spread across Uchiha Leonian's face. That's right, he was definitely stronger now. While Whitebeard's Conqueror's Haki might not be as intensely focused as red-haired Shanks, it was still incredibly powerful. System, show me my status panel. Soon, after Uchiha Leonian regained his composure, he issued the command. Understood. Generating host status panel. Host status panel generated. Host, Uchiha Leonian, age, 11 years old. Current location, Konoha Village. Accumulated sign-in rewards, Whitebeard template, one of the 4 emperors, 50.22% unlocked, Navy 6 styles, proficient, fire style, majestic destroyer flame, observation Haki, high tier, armament Haki, high tier, Conqueror's Haki, advanced, Hashirama Senju's Immortal Body, integrated, next sign-in location refresh time, 88 days. Note: sign in at the designated location to receive significant rewards. Alright, awesome. After a quick scan, Uchiha nodded in satisfaction. Everything was going according to plan, cultivating and signing in to get stronger. What could be better? Chapter 23. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After mastering the immortal body from the 1,000-hand pillars and unlocking Whitebeard's Conqueror's Haki, Uchiha Itachi spent some time cultivating before leaving the canyon. By the time he returned to Konoha, it was early afternoon. The setting sun cast a warm glow on the rebuilt Hokage Rock, making the massive faces of the 3 Hokage seem almost lifelike. Pretty efficient, Uchiha Itachi muttered to himself, glancing at the Hokage Rock from afar. But no matter how good the facade looks, it can't hide the darkness festering beneath Konoha's will of fire. He sighed softly. A few seconds later, Uchiha Itachi headed towards the Uchiha compound. Uchiha Fugaku had granted him a few days off for being promoted to elite jonin, so he didn't have to report to the Konoha military police force. However, as Uchiha Itachi arrived at the Uchiha district, a jonin from the clan stopped him. Uchiha Itachi, Patriarch Fugaku requests your presence at a meeting. The Uchiha jonin gave him a complicated look and said in a low voice. A clan meeting. A slight smirk played on Uchiha Itachi's lips. Understood. Right. The jonin simply nodded and disappeared. Half an hour later, in a large conference room in the heart of the Uchiha clan's territory, Uchiha Fugaku, dressed in his clan head's uniform, sat on the main throne, eyes closed. Flanking him were some of the Uchiha clan elders, the clan's leadership. Since it was an Uchiha clan meeting, no one was wearing the Konoha military police force uniform. Instead, they all wore the family crest. Alright, bring Uchiha Itachi in. After a moment, Uchiha Fugaku opened his eyes and gave the order. Silence fell over the Uchiha elders in the room. Everyone's expression was different. As Uchiha leaders, they knew this meeting concerned Uchiha Itachi. Normally, the promotion of an Uchiha to elite jonin would be cause for celebration. Even for a strong clan like the Uchiha, elite jonin were a valuable asset. However, some of the top Uchiha leaders were bothered by one thing. Uchiha Itachi was a taijutsu specialist. It felt like a slap in the face. The Uchiha clan prided themselves on their Sharingan. Having an elite jonin who specialized in taijutsu felt like a blatant contradiction. Bang! A few seconds later, the door to the conference room was pushed open by Uchiha Itachi. Seeing the Uchiha elders, Uchiha Itachi shook his head inwardly. What was coming was inevitable. These elders were like Konoha's Koharu Utatane and Hamura Midokado, assisting Fugaku. So, Uchiha Itachi didn't hold back. He instantly unleashed the unique aura of a taijutsu master. A powerful presence emanated from Uchiha Itachi. Sensing this aura, the Uchiha leaders felt a chill and their expressions turned serious. At that moment, Uchiha Itachi felt like a towering mountain. They could barely breathe. Uchiha Itachi, why don't you focus on ninjutsu and chakra control? Why aren't you concentrating on your Sharingan? Finally, as Uchiha Itachi walked to his seat, an Uchiha elder sitting to Uchiha Fugaku's left scolded him. Exactly. Don't you realize the Uchiha clan's Sharingan is our pride? Taijutsu is second-rate. You're a disgrace to the Uchiha clan. Only by mastering ninjutsu, chakra, and unlocking the Sharingan can you truly be worthy of the Uchiha name. With the first elder's outburst, the other elders on Uchiha Fugaku's left seemed to gain courage and began to pile on. Why bother? Hearing the uproar, Uchiha Itachi paused and glanced at the shouting elders, shaking his head. Sure enough, the Uchiha clan's faith in the Sharingan was bordering on obsession. Their mindset wasn't healthy. He glanced at Fugaku, who remained silent, and then at the other Uchiha members who weren't saying much. A cold glint flashed in Uchiha Itachi's eyes. He shook his head lightly and said in a startling tone, "Shut your traps, you old geezers." Silence. Absolute silence. The Uchiha elders' expressions froze. It was like they had been choked. The elder to Uchiha Fugaku's left was even more enraged. As the Uchiha clan's great elder, he had never been insulted like this. Calling them old geezers was an act of outright rebellion. Chapter 24. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Rage. Pure, unadulterated fury. The Uchiha clan's great elder, completely losing it, activated his Sharingan, ready to put this Uchiha in his place. He hadn't been insulted like this before, but even as he activated his Sharingan, Uchiha already anticipated his arrogance, a flicker of disdain in his own eyes. Buzz. Before the great elder could even channel his eye power, a terrifying aura exploded from Uchiha, engulfing the room with incredible speed. Under Uchiha's control, it slammed down on the Uchiha elders who'd been running their mouths. Seriously? Being chill doesn't mean I'm a pushover. Everyone has a breaking point, and I'm an elite shinobi now. You wanna play hardball? Fine, no more Mr. Nice Guy. Boom. Years of Whitebeard's Conqueror's Haki, refined and wielded by Uchiha, surged out, instantly crushing those outspoken Uchiha elders. They barely had time to gasp before a ringing filled their heads. Their bodies seized up, frozen in their seats. What? That even the great elder stumbled back, his heart pounding. His Sharingan eyes widened in horror. I. He tried to use his Sharingan again, but his mind was already a mess, fiercely suppressed. Thud. Thud. A few seconds later, the elders who'd been shouting fell from their chairs, collapsing to the floor like ragdolls. Only the great elder managed to stay on his feet, but he was drenched in sweat, trembling, staring at Uchiha with disbelief. Was this the power of a physical ninja? This invisible force? How could it be so overwhelming? Just because I don't want trouble doesn't mean I'm someone to mess with. Got it? Uchiha glanced at the great elder. That single look, it felt like watching Whitebeard obliterate an island with a single punch, as if he could destroy the world with a thought. That image shattered the great elder's mind. He blacked out and crumpled to the floor. Heh. Seeing this, Uchiha dialed back his Conqueror's Haki. The conference room went silent. It was as if nothing had happened. Only the unconscious elders on the floor were proof that it wasn't a dream. What just happened? Uchiha Fugaku, who had been calmly observing, was stunned. His mind raced, struggling to understand. What was that? Uchiha used his aura to knock out the elders. What kind of insane control was that? Everything in the room, the tables, chairs, were completely untouched. The other elders were just as speechless, their minds blank. This wasn't just pressure, they were overwhelmed by Uchiha's presence. The great elder and the others might be old and past their prime, but they were still powerful, yet they were crushed by Uchiha's invisible aura. Terrifying, truly terrifying. Was this the power of an elite shinobi specializing in physical combat? Physical ninjas were something else. If you can't back it up, don't act tough. Uchiha turned to Uchiha Fugaku. Clan head, if there's nothing else, I'll head back. Seriously, these elders were mostly old relics like Koharu and Hamura back in the leaf. If they wanted to cause trouble, Uchiha wasn't going to hold back. Giving them an inch would just encourage their craziness. Alright. Uchiha Fugaku glanced at Uchiha, his expression unreadable. He took a deep breath and nodded. Things were out of his control. He'd planned to let the radical elders make trouble, then step in as a peacemaker. Now, Uchiha had gone and dropped the hammer on them. He'd used his physical ninja's aura to intimidate the elders into unconsciousness. It was a bit of a mess, so he could only let Uchiha leave to deal with the fallout. Chapter 25. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Alright. Hearing that, the Uchiha stretched and casually strolled out of the conference room. Phew. That Uchiha Leonien is something else. Since when did physical fighters become so terrifying? It was intense, like he could move mountains. The moment the Uchiha left, the remaining senior Uchiha members in the conference room visibly relaxed, a wave of surprise washing over them. Some even had beads of cold sweat on their foreheads. Seriously, no one expected Uchiha Leonien's presence to be so overpowering, especially his control over his own power. He'd taken it to a whole new level. Well, it's safe to say our clan's seen a physical arts master like never before. Uchiha Fugaku shook his head and sighed. You all saw Uchiha Leonien's strength. Even without chakra or ninjutsu, even without unlocking the Sharingan, he's still a force to be reckoned with. So, we'll just look the other way. Fugaku offered a wry smile. What else could he say? Uchiha Itachi had thrown a wrench in all his plans, and now he was stuck cleaning up the mess. Okay, I'm in. Even without the Sharingan, Uchiha Itachi is still one of our own. Yeah, I agree. The remaining Uchiha elders in the room hesitated for a moment, then nodded in agreement. After all, they weren't as obsessed with the Sharingan as some of the more radical Uchiha higher-ups, the ones who had been stunned by Uchiha Itachi's power. Since Uchiha Itachi had demonstrated such strength, they figured they could cut him some slack and let it go either way. They couldn't change the fact that Uchiha Itachi was one of the Uchiha clan's elite shinobi. Good. Uchiha Fugaku nodded, then glanced at the stunned Uchiha elders with a headache and said, "It's a little embarrassing to just let those guys back in. Take them down to the infirmary." "Yes, sir." And with that, the Uchiha clan meeting wrapped up without a hitch. Everything that happened during the meeting was quickly swept under the rug by the Uchiha elders. The last thing they wanted was word getting out about how they'd been intimidated and some passed out. It was way too embarrassing, so in the Uchiha clan, a very interesting thing started happening. Some of the more hardline Uchiha members started keeping quiet about Uchiha Itachi's lack of ninjutsu and chakra. And just like that, an invisible storm finally settled. Uchiha Itachi was happy to let it lie. He didn't say a word, just stuck to his usual routine, training, daily sign-ins, and heading to work at the Konoha garrison. Everything was calm, but that calm wouldn't last more than 2 weeks. With Minato Namikaze's return from the battlefield, the whole of Konoha village was buzzing again. Minato had signed armistice agreements with the Hidden Cloud and Hidden Stone villages, respectively. The agreements contained some one-sided provisions favoring Konoha, and even recognized Konoha village as the top ninja village in the world, so Minato's return set off a frenzy in Konoha. The signing of the armistice agreements meant the end of the Third Shinobi World War, and more importantly, that Konoha had emerged victorious. This boosted the confidence and morale of countless ninjas and civilians in Konoha. Minato's popularity in Konoha village soared, and he seemed to be on track to surpass even the Third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi. Konoha village. In a conference room at the top of the Hokage building, after Minato Namikaze's return, the Konoha village elders gathered, including the Hyuga clan leader, the Uchiha clan leader, and the Nara clan leader, to vote for the fourth Hokage. The candidates were Orochimaru and Minato Namikaze. In the end, Orochimaru lost to Minato Namikaze in a landslide. To be precise, Orochimaru only received 1 vote, from Danzo Shimura. Lord Sarutobi, I lost. After the third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, announced the results, Orochimaru seemed more relaxed than expected. After shaking his head, he turned and walked out of the conference room. He was well aware that, the small amount of master-apprentice friendship between him and Hiruzen Sarutobi was now gone. Next, he would pursue his ideals and ambitions. Alas, watching Orochimaru leave, the third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, didn't change his expression, but sighed silently in his heart. Orochimaru, one of the legendary Sannin, had the qualifications and accomplishments to be elected as the fourth Hokage, but Orochimaru wasn't easy to control. So even though Orochimaru was his apprentice, Hiruzen Sarutobi was willing to sacrifice him. Minato Namikaze, on the other hand, was a civilian ninja and much easier to control. This was his way of paving the road for Minato, making him Hokage. I'm leaving too. After Orochimaru left, Danzo Shimura, looking grim, also left the conference room. Eventually, Minato Namikaze was successfully elected as the fourth Hokage. When the news broke, the entire Konoha village erupted in celebration. However, no one knew that, after Minato Namikaze's election, the third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, remained in the Hokage building. On the grounds that Minato Namikaze lacked experience in administration, he stayed on to assist Minato. But whether he was really assisting, who knows? P.S. Please support with tips, collections, flowers, and reviews. Thank you. Chapter 26. You are listening at novelfull.audio. With the fourth Hokage now in charge, Konoha village entered a new era. To solidify Minato Namikaze's position, the third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, helped him enact policies that aligned with both the people's desires and the interests of various factions. This significantly boosted the fourth Hokage's reputation. Among these policies, Hiruzen Sarutobi made sure his contributions were prominently noted, subtly reminding everyone that he was still a force in Konoha. Consequently, Konoha Village entered a period of relative peace. Time passed quickly, and soon it was December 25th of Konoha year 47, perhaps because the year was drawing to a close. The atmosphere of peaceful development throughout Konoha Village grew even stronger, thanks to their victory in the Third Shinobi World War. Konoha Village's reputation soared, leading to a sense of self-importance. The other major shinobi villages, Sand, Stone, Cloud, and Mist, didn't dare to provoke Konoha. However, beneath the surface of this peaceful village, undercurrents were stirring, hinting at a potential turning point. One day, after a relaxed shift at the Konoha garrison, Leonian Uchiha met Kurenai Yuhi and Hayate Gecko for dinner. Having been promoted to elite jonin, Leonian held a high-ranking position in the garrison and no longer had to deal with petty tasks. Now, whenever he went to the garrison, he only needed to issue simple orders and then could pretty much do whatever he wanted. At Ichiraku Ramen. Whoa! That hit the spot. The ramen is so good. Kurenai Yuhi and Hayate Gecko walked out of Ichiraku Ramen, their faces beaming with satisfaction. Burp. Leonian Uchiha also let out a satisfied burp. He'd been feeling pretty chill lately. The Uchiha clan wasn't giving him any trouble. In fact, the clan head, Fugaku Uchiha, had even increased his resource allocation, and the Konoha leadership, now that Minato Namikaze was in power, focused on stabilizing the village, creating a rare period of peace between the Uchiha and the higher-ups. Sigh. Thinking about it, Leonian couldn't help but sigh. If he remembered correctly, the Uchiha's good times wouldn't last. Next year, Konoha year 48, the nine-tailed fox attack would completely change the Uchiha clan's fate and Konoha Village's situation. Leonian, what's wrong? Sensing something amiss, Kurenai frowned and asked with concern. It's nothing. Leonian smiled and chuckled. Let's go. Let's head to the training grounds. Okay. Kurenai and Hayate didn't think much of it. Leonian had been training them for years, saying their strength was too weak and they wouldn't be able to protect themselves if war broke out again. About 15 minutes later, the three of them arrived at a training ground in Konoha. Just as they entered, they ran into Might Guy, Kakashi Hitaki, and Asuma Sarutobi. Ha ha ha, Leonian, you guys training too? Might Guy's thick eyebrows shot up, revealing his pearly whites. I just passed the Chunin exams. From now on, I'm gonna be a taijutsu master. Tears of joy streamed down Might Guy's face. Kakashi and Asuma Sarutobi looked a bit awkward. They just bumped into Might Guy, and since they didn't have anything else to do, they tagged along to the training grounds. They didn't expect to meet Leonian Uchiha and his crew, however, they knew Might Guy's personality. Kakashi took a deep breath, glanced at Leonian, and said, "Long time no see." "Yeah, long time no see." Leonian replied casually. He'd interacted with Kakashi before. After Minato Namikaze became Hokage, Kakashi, as his apprentice, joined the Umbu to escape the darkness in his heart. In peacetime, he worked with the Konoha garrison. Over time, Leonian and Kakashi had become acquainted. How boring. Asuma Sarutobi glanced at Kurenai, who was focused on Leonian, and irritably pulled out a cigarette, intending to light it to calm his nerves. Seeing Asuma pull out a cigarette, Kurenai Yuhi and Hayate Gecko frowned, but, because of Asuma's status as the third Hokage's son, they didn't say anything. No smoking allowed here. Whoosh star. Before Asuma could react, the cigarette vanished from his hand and appeared in Leonian Uchiha's. No way was he gonna let Asuma smoke. Even if he was the Hokage's son, so what? What speed? Kakashi's eyes narrowed, revealing a look of surprise. He'd briefly activated his Sharingan, but he hadn't seen how Leonian had done it. Your taijutsu seems to have improved. You monster, it's only been a few weeks, Might Guy exclaimed, his eyes wide. Youth is burning. Looks like I gotta train even harder today. Might Guy immediately dropped and started doing push-ups. Let's go. Leonian gave Asuma a disdainful look, tossed the cigarette away, grabbed Kurenai and Hayate's hands, and headed into the training grounds. Although it wasn't the first time they'd held hands, Kurenai and Hayate's faces flushed red. Watching Leonian Uchiha walk away, Asuma felt like he was losing it. He couldn't even smoke a cigarette. This was too much. Unfortunately, thinking about Leonin Uchiha's strength, Asuma, the rebel, could only sigh gloomily. He could argue with his father, Hiruzen Sarutobi, because of his status, but, against Leonin Uchiha, he'd actually flinched. This must be the pain of the weak. Thinking this, determination flashed in Asuma's eyes. P.S. Please give tips, collections, flowers, and reviews. Thank you. Chapter 27. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Konoha Village. Inside a sprawling training ground, I ran into Asuma Sarutobi, Kakashi, and Might Guy, but whatever. Uchiha Ryunin, Kurenai Yuhi, and Yugao Yuzuki weren't bothered. They got right to work. Ryunin watched as Kurenai started her training. Illusion, three-pronged Sakura, that with a faint surge of chakra, Kurenai rapidly formed hand seals, dropping low to the ground, transforming into a flurry of vibrant petals. No, too slow. Ryunin frowned. You're low on chakra. If you want to rely on illusions, you have to constantly increase your sealing speed, or even skip the seals entirely and cast illusions without them. Asterisk boom, star, Ryunin unleashed an overwhelming force of chakra, asterisk poof, star, the petals vanished, Kurenai was blasted out of her illusion and back to her solid form. Okay. Kurenai pouted, looking defeated. She quickly got back up and started practicing her seals at an even faster pace. Still too slow. Did you even eat today? 1,000 seals, now. Warm up. Before long, Ryunin's sharp commands echoed through the training ground. Wow. Ryunin is intense. Yugao had seen this before, but she still couldn't help but admire Ryunin. She loved his commanding presence. He was so cool. Hey, aren't you supposed to be practicing your swordsmanship? Ryunin turned his gaze on her. Right. Like a startled rabbit, Yugao quickly drew her short sword and began practicing the Konoha-style swordsmanship. Humph. Ryunin walked over to a chair and sat down, watching Yugao with a critical eye. He understood illusions. After all, he was an Uchiha, so he had been around them. Plus, he had awakened the three-tomo Sharingan, but swordsmanship. Not his strong suit. He could see plenty of flaws in Yugao's Konoha-style swordsmanship, but she'd been taught by the best in Konoha. Guess I need to figure out some swordsmanship. Ryunin muttered to himself. System, sign in at the Konoha training ground. He had another reason for coming to the training ground, the daily sign-in. Over the past few years, Ryunin had diligently signed in and practiced. He had unlocked 60% of the Whitebeard template, one of the 4 emperors, but hadn't unlocked enough to properly use the power of the Tremor fruit. Even without it, Ryunin's strength had been growing. Seconds ticked by. Finally, the system's chime sounded. Ding! Congratulations! You have successfully signed in at the Konoha training ground. Ding! Congratulations! You have obtained, Forbidden Technique, Multiple Shadow Clone Technique, Somyun Cut, one of the 12 Supreme Grade Seijo O Wazumono Blades, and 5% experience. Ding! Rewards have been placed in the system space. System, status, Forbidden Technique, Multiple Shadow Clone Technique, uses a massive amount of chakra to create multiple shadow clones. Capable of creating thousands of clones at once. Classified as forbidden due to the high chakra cost. Somyun Cut, one of the 12 Supreme Grade Seijo O Wazumono Blades, a long-handled blade, wider than a standard naginata. Less curved than a glaive or guandao. Formerly wielded by Whitebeard, one of the 4 emperors. Adaptable to the host size. Whitebeard template, 60% unlocked. Plus 5% from sign-in. Total, 65%. Ding! Congratulations! The Whitebeard template, 65% unlocked, now grants Whitebeard swordsmanship. Chapter 28. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Okay, a series of mechanical tones chimed, leaving Uchiha Ryunin stunned. He never expected that signing in at the system's refresh point this time would yield such a massive reward. The Forbidden Technique, multiple shadow clone jutsu, was perfect for reunion, especially since he possessed the Hashirama Senju cells granting him immense vitality. It was practically tailor-made for him, and then there was one of the 12 supreme grade swords, Song Yunche. It was Whitebeard's weapon, the highest quality sword in the One Piece world, one of only 12, plus, now that he'd unlocked 65% of Whitebeard's template, Whitebeard's swordsmanship was finally unlocked too. Did Whitebeard, one of the 4 emperors, even know swordsmanship? Of course, he did. It's just that his tremor fruit was so powerful that his swordsmanship took a back seat, but now, with Whitebeard's swordsmanship unlocked, Uchiha Reunion could become a great swordsman himself someday. Thinking about it, Reunion took a deep breath and said, "System, I want to integrate the swordsmanship of Whitebeard, one of the 4 emperors." Ding! Distributing Whitebeard's swordsmanship. Buzz! The next moment, a strange aura of swordsmanship, before Reunion could even react, flooded into his body. What's this? As the aura of swordsmanship flooded his mind, Reunion saw a shocking scene: Whitebeard, holding Song Yunche, drinking with red-haired Shanks, another one of the 4 emperors, but, for some reason, before drinking, they exchanged glances, grinned, and simultaneously stabbed each other. Boom! Terrifying sword power erupted, instantly destroying the world, unleashing stormy waves and churning the sea. Finally, when everything calmed down, Whitebeard and Shanks casually took another drink. Incredible! After absorbing Whitebeard's swordsmanship, Reunion wore an expression of awe. Whitebeard's swordsmanship was seriously impressive. Maybe he wasn't as skilled as the world's greatest swordsman, Hawkeye, but with the power of the tremor fruit, he definitely lived up to his title as the strongest man in the world. System, show me my status screen. Snapping back to reality, Reunion eagerly gave the command. Ding! Generating status screen. Ding! Status screen generated. Host, Uchiha Reunion, age, 12 years old, current check-in location, Konoha Village, valuable rewards obtained from cumulative check-ins, Whitebeard template, 65% unlocked, Navy 6 styles, proficient, fire style, fire extinction, multiple shadow clone jutsu, observation haki, top tier, armament haki, top tier, conqueror's haki, advanced, Hashirama Senju cells, integrated. Song Yunche, next check-in location refresh time, 90 days. Note, sign in at the system's refresh location to receive great rewards. Nice. Reunion scanned the screen, a silent smile spreading across his face, getting stronger every time he checked in at the system's refresh point was a seriously great feeling. At the same time, Atsuki Shien and Yuhi Kurenai had stopped training. The 2 girls stared directly at Reunion, their eyes filled with curiosity. Just a moment ago, they had both sensed a hint of sword momentum radiating from Reunion. It was hard to believe. They knew Reunion was an elite shinobi specializing in physical arts, but a swordsman too. Humph. Sensing the women's gazes, Reunion suddenly opened his eyes and grunted coldly, without warning. Reunion-kun, let's get back to training. Yeah. Sensing Reunion's serious gaze, Shien and Kurenai were startled and quickly resumed their training. Hold on. The next moment, Reunion flashed and appeared next to Shien. Close your eyes. Ah, Shien squeaked, her pretty face turning red. What should I do? Is Reunion-kun going to kiss me? Should I play it cool? No, if I play hard to get, will I hurt Reunion-kun's feelings? What are you thinking about? Focus and sense the environment. Bang! With a sharp thwack, Reunion flicked Shien on the forehead. Ow! The sudden pain snapped Shien back to reality, and she reluctantly focused on perceiving the surrounding environment. Do you sense anything? No. Shien replied, confused. How about now? Reunion unleashed a trace of his sword intent. Buzz. Shien and Kurenai's senses heightened. It was as if the whole world had gone silent, save for the sound of breathing. I sense it. Shien gasped, her eyes wide. I can actually hear the trees breathing, and that wooden stake too. How is this possible? Am I seeing things? Chapter 29. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Speed. Mao Yu-Xian looked a little panicked. Uchiha Ryunyen frowned and ordered, his voice deep, draw your sword and swing. Okay. Asterisk whoosh, star, with a short swing sound, Mao Yu-Xian held her short sword and unleashed a wave of white energy, asterisk bang, star day shimmering, cold light burst forth, with lightning speed, it struck a wooden stake in the training ground. A few seconds later, a clean cut appeared in the middle of the stake, which then split in two and crashed to the ground. That's insane. Is that really Xian? Sunset Red's eyes almost popped out of her head. She rubbed them, wondering if she was seeing things, when did Mao Yu-Xian get so powerful? Was that even Konoha-style swordsmanship anymore? I. Xian opened her eyes, equally shocked. She just heard, felt something, and swung the sword. She hadn't expected that much power. You have a serious talent for swordsmanship, Uchiha Ryunyen said, staring at Xian. If you train hard, you could become the greatest female swordsman in the ninja world. Exactly. After obtaining Whitebeard's swordsmanship, Uchiha wanted to test Xian's potential, and the result was mind-blowing. She could sense, feel, things. There's a massive difference between a swordsman who can't and one who can. While Xian hasn't learned any armament haki or reached the level of cutting steel, she has the foundation. With that foundation, Uchiha was confident he could turn Xian into the top female swordsman around. A great swordsman, is that strong? Xian asked, confused. Seriously strong. Uchiha Ryunyen shrugged. The best ones could kill an elite ninja in a second and take down a Kage level in 3 swings. Asterisk clang, star, Xian dropped her sword, she felt overwhelmed. Sunset Red looked just as stunned, killing an elite ninja instantly. How was that even possible? They couldn't even imagine it. Alright, keep training. Uchiha Ryunyen took a deep breath. First, let's focus on body conditioning. Build a solid base. Okay. We'll do our best, Ryunyen. So, Atsuki and Sunset Red began their grueling training again, 3 hours later. Phew. After walking Atsuki Yuyen and Sunset Red home, Uchiha Ryunyen strolled down a Konoha street toward the Uchiha compound. As he entered a darker alley, Uchiha Ryunyen's lips curled into a slight smile. You've been following me long enough. Time to show yourselves, asterisk swish. Two figures in cat-faced masks appeared in front of Uchiha Ryunyen. Uchiha Ryunyen, Danzo-sama requests your presence. Get lost. Uchiha Ryunyen snorted and kept walking. The Uchiha had no love for Konoha's elders, especially not a snake like Shimura Danzo. Then we have no choice. The root ninjas exchanged a look, their eyes hardening. They had direct orders from Danzo, bring the Uchiha back, by any means necessary, asterisk swish. The 2 root ninjas shot forward, drawing kunai, asterisk bang. Bang, star, unfortunately, they were fast, but Uchiha Ryunyen was faster. Before they could see what he'd done, they were already flying through the air, crashing into the ground dozens of yards away. The impact shook the alley. Gah! Ugh! That they coughed up blood, their eyes wide with horror. They'd never imagined a single blow could do that much damage. When did physical ninjutsu become so terrifying? Danzo, you sent 2 chunin to bother me. Uchiha Ryunyen stretched. You've been using root to watch me. Glad you finally decided to show up yourself. Asterisk clap. 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 Star. A round of applause. A man in white with a cross-shaped scar on his chin stood at the end of the alley. Impressive. You're stronger than I thought. Your senses are quite sharp. Shimura Danzo looked at Uchiha Ryunyen, his face impassive. Aren't you worried I'll make things difficult for you after killing my root operatives? P.S. Please support with tips, collections, flowers, and reviews. Thank you. Chapter 30. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Don't worry, Uchiha Leonyen's expression remained unchanged as he replied, "You've enchanted this place, and as a member of the Leaf Village garrison, I have a duty to investigate. You did this on purpose." Before he finished speaking, Shimura Danzo's pupils narrowed. He asked in a low voice, "You knew this place was enchanted and you came here deliberately?" "That's right." Uchiha Leonyen nodded, chuckling. "The Root ninjas have been watching me for years. I've been wanting to meet the leader of Root, Shimura Danzo, for a long time." As he said the last sentence, Uchiha Leonyen's eyes turned cold, deliberately emphasizing his tone. Back when the system first woke up, Uchiha Leonyen wasn't very strong. He lived in constant fear, worried Root or the higher-ups would act unpredictably, but now he wasn't afraid at all. Being low-key is one thing, but it doesn't mean he's scared. If Danzo dared send someone after him, he'd strike back hard. Who's afraid of who? If it came down to it, they could go to war. You. Faced with Uchiha Leonyen's unwavering defiance, Danzo was taken aback. He never expected their first meeting to be so hostile. He'd arranged the enchantment specifically to force Uchiha Leonyen to join Root. While Leonyen was a physical fighter who didn't use ninjutsu or chakra, he was still an elite jonin. Having him in Root would be a huge benefit. At the very least, they'd have an inside source within the Uchiha clan, which would be a piece of cake, but Uchiha Leonyen didn't seem to care for his reputation at all. He was as stubborn as Itachi Uchiha, only listening to the Hokage and completely unresponsive to Danzo's commands. "Okay, if that's all, I'm leaving." Uchiha Leonyen gave Danzo a long, hard look. "I know what you're trying to do, but don't let me catch you at it. Otherwise, I'll take you all out." Since they were destined to be enemies, Uchiha Leonyen didn't bother being polite. Buzz. Before he finished, Uchiha Leonyen released a wave of his own presence, overwhelming Danzo without restraint. This. Danzo's expression shifted, uncertain and troubled. Somehow, Uchiha Leonyen's heroic and domineering aura made him feel like a clown. Heh. Seeing this, Uchiha Leonyen smirked, withdrawing his aura and leaving without a backward glance. Now wasn't the time. The real show would begin when the Konoha Village leaders actually decided to exterminate the Uchiha clan. "Uchiha Leonyen, you'll regret this." Watching Leonyen leave, Danzo seemed to snap back to reality, clenching his fists and cursing in frustration. "You want to go to war with the Uchiha clan?" Hearing this, Uchiha Leonyen turned his head, a playful smile in his eyes. I. Danzo's face froze. He opened his mouth, wanting to say something, but couldn't bring himself to do it. He wanted nothing more than to declare war on the Uchiha clan, but he didn't dare. If he did, before the Uchiha could even act, Hiruzen would tear him apart. After all, Konoha Village and the Uchiha clan still needed each other. "You're pathetic." Uchiha Leonyen shook his head. "Danzo, remember this, even if the Uchiha clan has fallen on hard times, you're not worthy of touching them." Bang. As he said this, Uchiha Leonyen clenched his right fist, wisps of black armament hockey quickly enveloped his fist, and he threw a fierce punch. Click. Click. The next moment, with a crisp sound, the simplified, translucent purple flame barrier shattered. Poof. Poof. As the barrier was destroyed, the four Root shinobi hiding in the shadows spat out mouthfuls of blood, their eyes filled with horror. The barrier was destroyed with a single punch. How was that even possible? Even though the simplified version wasn't as strong as the real thing, it was still capable of trapping elite jonin. Damn it, he's getting stronger again. Danzo's expression twisted with anger and frustration. He'd been slapped in the face, humiliated by Uchiha Leonyen, and he couldn't even say anything about it. It was like Leonyen had him cornered, declaring that the Uchiha clan was untouchable to him. "I'm determined to destroy the Uchiha clan, and no one can stop me." "So you're a little stronger? I'll use the Sharingan to make your life a living hell." He. After what felt like an eternity, Danzo laughed maniacally, a sinister sound. "Perhaps we could cooperate." Just then, accompanied by a swirling distortion in space, a masked man wearing an orange spiral mask, Uchiha Obito, appeared.